There was ministers here in the United States, the Edwards brothers, and others like them who were preaching. In the States, while there was Protestant Reformation going on in England and France, Germany, and all across Europe. Good afternoon, YouTube. This is John Hampton here, coming to you today from Whitesburg Drive, where I'm working on a Sunday again. This is our study in Revelation this week. This is Revelation lesson 14. With this lesson, we begin the book of Revelation chapter 3. We're studying the church at Sardis, which is the church of the Protestant Reformation. And so, just let you know that that's what we're studying today. And just give me a second here. I had to grab my notes before they blow away. We got a little bit of wind going today, so sorry about that. But at least it is kind of the weather is kind of nice. It don't feel so humid and hot today and everything, so that's good. But yeah. So we start with our verses. This is from chapter 3, verses 1 through 6. And unto the angel of the church at Sardis write, These things saith he that hath the 7 spirits of God, and the 7 stars. I know thy works, that thou hast a name that thou livest, and art dead. Be watchful, and strengthen the things that remain, that are ready to die. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast, and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come on thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. Verse 4. Thou hast a few names even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments, and they shall walk with me in white, for they are worthy. He that overcometh, verse 5, he that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before his angels. Verse 6. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches. So we'll start here with verse 1. And unto the angel of the church at Sardis write. So this here has been written unto the church at Sardis, the angels of the church of Sardis, which once again we perceive to be the minister of the church. Could actually be an angel also. And the church of Sardis is representative of the church during the Protestant Reformation, which is when the time of Martin Luther putting his 95 Theses on the door of the church at Germany. Also, the time that Protestant Reformation in America, where sermons such as Prisoners in the Hands of Angry God was released. Yes, there was ministers here in the United States, the Edwards brothers, and others like them who were preaching. In the States, while there was Protestant Reformation going on in England and France, Germany, and all across Europe. So, it always is a representative of the literal church, but it's a representative of the church during the era of the Protestant Reformation, 1517 through 1750 is the approximate times of the Protestant Reformation. So let's see what he says to the church at Sardis. And the church age is represented by it. These things saith he that have the 7 spirits of God. Once again, 7 is a perfect number, as we know, for God. And so he said, this is the one that holds the 7 spirits of God. In other words, this is Christ. And the 7 stars. I know thy works. So he said, I know the works that you have. You have a name that livest and art dead. So even while you're still an active church, you're considered dead because of your lack of adequate works for the Lord. Verse 2. Be watchful. In other words, watch what you're doing. Strengthen the things which remain. So in other words, strengthen your works for the Lord that are ready to die. So he's saying you're going to die to the flesh as you're doing these works for the Lord. For I have not found thy works perfect before God. So in other words, what they're doing, God is not really pleased with it. He's saying This is not, what their works are or not, are showing their Christian walk in their work. Verse 3, remember therefore how thou hast received and heard. So it's saying, remember how you received the gospel in the first place. Hold fast. In other words, hold fast to the gospel. Repent. In other words, repent of what you're doing wrong. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come to thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. This is from verse 3. So he said, look, if you don't watch for me, I'm going to slip up on you when you don't know I'm there, just like a thief would. And you won't even know when I'm there. Verse 4, thou hast a few names even in Sardis, which have not defiled their garments. So we have people living in this era that have not sinned. And there's people in the church that had not sinned. And they shall walk with me in white, for they're worthy. White is purity, so he's saying, these are worthy to walk as saints. Verse 5, he that overcometh, the same will be clothed in white raiment. So he's saying, if you overcome, you'll get that white raiment of purity. And I will not blot his name out of the book of life. So he's saying, these will remain in the book of life in heaven. I will confess his name before my Father. In other words, he'll confess his name, meaning the name of the person that's doing right before the Lord, and before his angels. So he said, God the Father and his angels will know who's doing the right. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the churches. So he always closes out with this. This means if you have an ear to hear, listen to what God is saying to you. So next week we'll get back in this with another lesson. Until then, this is John Hampton saying God bless and have a great day.